Mr. Hare Meets Mr. Mandela is a tale about bravery, honesty and persistence, as well as, the significance of being literate and the importance of reading. The People's Theatre will then be staging the play for a limited season at the Pieter Toerien's Montecasino Theatre and Studio from the 27th of September to the 9th of October this year. To share more on the play, we're joined by Daniel Geddes. Daniel, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on the show this morning. Now, this was adapted from the book by Chris van Wyk. Share more on the play, please.
So it follows the journey of Mr. Hare of the wild African bush. And one morning he finds a 200 Rand note on his doorstep. Now, he's illiterate, so he's not 100% sure what it is. But what he does see on it is Nelson Mandela's face.
Yeah.
And he decides, obviously, it must belong to him. So he goes on this madcap adventure trying to return the 200 Rand note to Mr. Mandela. And of course, he goes to Joburg, the city of readers, and the money changes hands and changes color quite a few times. And lots of people try and swindle him out of it. And we kind of follow him on this journey and learn a lot of lessons about honesty, bravery, integrity, the importance of literacy.
Okay.
And he eventually manages to get to the gate of Mr. Mandela, and he's just left with $10.
Now, this play, this book is written by Chris van Wyk and illustrations by Perry Boomer. Do they make any contributions in the play?
So we've got some of Patty's illustrations appear on the stage to kind of fill out some of the backdrop and things like that.
Okay.
And then, unfortunately, Chris van Wyk is passed in 2014. So his contribution was the story itself.
Yeah. And how different is the play to the book, or did you stay with the story in the book?
So we stayed very, very true to the story in the book, but obviously in terms of the medium moving from a book to a play, there were some elements that we had to add to lengthen it out and facilitate the storytelling. But the essence of the story remains true to Chris van Wyk's original.
So how far did you go in terms of adding these elements?
So there, for example, there's a character, Secretary Bird, who acts as our narrator and storyteller. And in the book, the secretary just takes some notes at a particular meeting that Mr. Hare holds, whereas we've elaborated that character to be the main storyteller who used to take notes for Mr. Mandela himself as the Secretary Bird. Okay. And then we've got young Hare, who experiences the story of his grandfather, Mr. Hare, who goes on the adventure. So kind of adding a young lens through which the children can experience the story. And those are the sort of those two, kind of the classic South African story time setting at the foot of a baobab tree. And then we go back in time and relive this madcap adventure that Mr. Hare goes on, where he meets all these colorful characters, Tsotsi and Mapiri and a whole host of other exciting personalities.
In the intro, I mentioned bravery as one of the themes, but what's the central theme that runs throughout this play?
The central theme, I'd say, is honesty and the importance of literacy. They kind of, I know those two things don't necessarily sound like they're the same thing, but the way that Mr. Hare deals with money in the face of lots of people wanting to take it from him, and he's set on his mission to return this note to Mr. Mandela, no matter what the cost is to him. And I think that's really, really lovely to see. And that adventure and that journey is exacerbated by his inability to read.
Got you. Let's talk about the cast members. Who do you have in the production?
So we've got,
what were you looking for when casting?
So we're looking for very strong physical actors, and also it was very important with the story to have young professionals.
Yes.
So kind of first, second, or third professional theatre gig for them coming out of their studies. So we've got Sitkelo Mabaso, who plays Mr. Hare himself. Right. We've got Kabelo Moletsane, who plays Mr. Secretary Bird, and then playing all the other characters, the guys who carry the big workload. We've got Poloko Musimang and Bo Molefe. They're really looking for energy, and these guys have it in bucket loads. They sometimes out-energize a school hall full of children. So,
okay. So is it a must that they have to be energetic? I mean, is it also part of the script?
Yes, yeah. So part of it is requiring them to tell quite a grand epic story with very few elements. So there's a lot of physical work, a lot of acrobatics and leaps and jumps and character changes and heightened physicalization to show the difference between, say, Mrs. Owl and the taxi driver. And so all those kind of, and maintaining the momentum of the story. And with children as well, maintaining their attention, the the performers always have to be authentic and sincere, and I think these guys really bring that to the table.
Yeah, and I mean, I get a sense that it definitely must be electrifying. So how is the play made so that it appeals to all ages?
So I think part of that is, for me personally, I always think about making sure that it's visually very interesting. I particularly love what theatre has as a visual medium. So I think what really engages the audience is seeing what we can do with very little. We've got some stools and some backdrops and a few costumes that can be multiple things, and seeing how the actors create a taxi with nothing but their bodies and 4 stools and some mime work and some physical theatre work. I think that captures attention, and then it's got a few sort of nice, some fun references for adults to enjoy as well. So it's really a family show that's got sort of great visual energy. We like to call it visual chocolate.
Visual chocolate.
Visual chocolate, I think, is one of the main ways to kind of really maintain the attention. And we've also got an original score that accompanies the show as well. So there's the audio element as well that makes it interesting and adds to the kind of emotional journey that she'll go on.
So what are the key takeaways? What are you hoping the audience will take away after watching this play?
I think I'd really love it to encourage people to read stories. It's a play based on a book about literacy, and so I think a really wonderful thing would be for families and children to walk out of the show and think, I want to grab that book. I want to get Mr. Hare Meets Mr Mandela, and I want to read it for myself. I want to go on that adventure, and I want to read more books and learn more of these stories, and hopefully I can be as honest and have as much integrity as Mr. Hare did when he was faced with adversity.
Okay, and I see the cover of the book is sort of animated. Was that intentional to attract the attention of children?
I think so. So that would be Paddy's original illustration for the cover, and we obviously used the book in the show. I think definitely the art style is there to give a little bit of a sense of magic and life. And colour to what we see, and it's really beautiful to see South African animation and South African art.
Indeed.
That's bringing to life South African stories.
Okay. Now, please share more details about this play.
So it will be at the Montecasino Theatre and Studio, Pieter Toerien's Montecasino Theatre and Studio in Four Ways, from the 27th of September to the 9th of October. We've got shows on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 11 and 2:30, Thursdays and Fridays, 11 and 3, and then Saturdays and Sundays, 12 and 3. So there are plenty of options to get the whole family out. Okay. And tickets are CompuTicket.
CompuTicket.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
For bigger bookings, you can call the theatre or email info@peoplestheatre.co.za.
All right, great stuff. Thank you so much, Dan, for chatting to us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Great stuff. Mr. Hare Meets Mr Mandela is ideal for the whole family, and will be on tour at Montecasino from the 27th of September to the 9th of October, as Daniel mentioned. We just spoke to the director, Daniel Geddes.